Welcome to 40k Dataslate Review. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Necron unit, the Tesseract Vault.
40k Dataslate Review.
The Tesseract Vault. Honestly, a model I've been itching to review. From index to codex, the Tesseract Vault made a huge leap in effectiveness. Starting with movement 8, this slows to a crawl at low health, with 4-inch movement. It of course has the fly keyword, making it pretty maneuverable, but its size still makes it a bear to move around the table. Defensively, the Vault is a tank. Toughness 7, 28 wounds, 3-up armor save, and a 4-up invulnerable save. Not only that, but it has living metal, healing it back a wound each turn. This thing will hold on for quite a while against most enemy fire. Not every opponent has the firepower to take it down in a single turn. Offensively, the Tesseract Vault has 4 Tesla spheres, granting 20 Strength 7 Tesla shots, meaning 6s score 3 hits. The model has a 3-up ballistic skill that decreases with each damage tier. These guns are pretty solid anti-troop, and can do a few wounds to higher toughness models as well through sheer volume of attacks. Statistically, the guns regain their misses through triggering the Tesla rule, but in a good turn of shooting, watch your opponent roll their eyes as you pick up more attacks than you started with. Something else to mention is the power of this weapon in Overwatch. Some enemies will be forced to shy away from engaging it, since the Overwatch can often deal quite a bit of damage. On average, the Vault scores about 9 hits in Overwatch, but an opponent may think twice before charging in units like Gene Stealers, because if the Necron player gets a couple extra 6s, the attacker is in for a rough charge. If the Vault does get in combat, you get 3 attacks that will never hit, but when they do, get ready for some Strength 8 attacks. Did I mention the Tesseract Vault imprisons a Satan shard? Because it does, and the shard knows 4 powers and can use 3. As the Vault takes damage, this decreases from 2 to 1 before it's destroyed. This is the most costly part of taking damage. Satan powers are insanely effective. Every one of them has a use with the Vault, and every one of them is more likely to succeed with the Vault. Against large units, let out a seismic assault to roll a die for each model in the unit. On a 5-up, the unit is dealt a mortal wound. Antimatter Meteor acts like a more reliable smite that can't be denied, dealing D3 mortal wounds on a 2-up, and D6 mortal wounds on a 5-up. With the Vault being such a magnet for enemy units, Cosmic Fire is always worth using to do damage to all enemy units within 9 inches. On a 3-up, it does D3 mortal wounds. One of the great things about this is that it can hit enemies it can't see, and it can hit characters. Sky the Falling Star is another powerful ability that allows the Vault to choose 3 units within 18 inches, and deal D3 mortal wounds if they roll equal to or below their unit strength. This works well against MSU-style armies, bringing multiple units of 5 models, as this almost always damages them. Even single model units can take damage on a roll of 1. These are not the optimal choice, but with 3 recipients, this will do D3 damage to one of the targets half of the time. All these powers are incredible, but the cream of the crop is Time's Arrow. This ability allows the Vault to pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches and slay one of the models. You just have to roll equal to or over the wound characteristic of the target. Against a Hive Guard or Ogryn, this is great. Against a 4-wound support character, the Vault becomes an excellent sniper. Even taking down an average Space Marine character is doable. Time's Arrow is a nice place to save a command reroll. As the powers aren't affected by to-hit values, often advancing is worth the -1 to hit on the Tesla spheres. If you can pull in a couple more units with Cosmic Fire, or get in range of a key power, advancing is likely worth it. The best thing about Satan powers is that they happen at the end of the movement phase. This means the Vault could potentially clear a screen with mortal wounds, then have reserves come in or use a Veil of Darkness to teleport a unit into the newly created Void, but more on this in a bit. The God Bank doesn't just do mortal wounds in life, in death the model can be a hazard as well. Vengeance of the Enchained is a fancy way of saying explode. Upon losing its last wound, on a 4-up, it deals D6 mortal wounds to all units within 2d6 inches. Be sure to save a command reroll if the Vault starts to get low, to ensure you either explode near the enemy or don't explode near friendly models. Sometimes this can be quite tricky though, because if you have the chance to use the command reroll to keep the Vault alive, it is probably worth using for that. As the Vault gets low, push it into the opponent's face to try to get as much damage out of the explosion as possible. The Tesseract Vault is great, but it does however cost a pretty penny. After you get over the real life price tag, this model costs a hair under 500 points. This thing is an investment. This is a unit to build the army around. But sometimes the best way to build around the vault is to just take another vault. The first vault is kind of like a distraction vault, to protect your real vault. Quite a few armies will see a single vault and think, well, that's a lot of points. I'm either going to kill it or avoid it to minimize its threat. In either case, the average opponent can handle a single vault. But many armies just do not have the firepower to take down 2 vaults. Necrons may not have a huge variety in units, but they do have quite a few synergies to utilize. The first to mention is what Dynasty to make the Tesseract Vault. As the vault is often going in a separate detachment, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same Dynasty as the rest of the army. Tesseract Vaults have the Satan Shard keyword, meaning they don't actually benefit from the Dynasty codes. So picking a Dynasty mostly has to do with what stratagem the vaults will benefit most from. Only 3 of the stratagems really apply to the vault. No, I'm not going to spend 3 command points to swing again. Mefrit seems to fit thematically, granting more attacks on 6s, and since it's unmodified 6s, this would actually be quite helpful when advancing or targeting units that are -1 to hit. Nihilak's Reclaim the Lost Empire stratagem is also fairly potent, adding +1 to saving rolls if the model didn't move or is within 3 inches of an objective. Not moving the vault is usually not an option, so be sure to leave the vault near an objective. As nice as a 2-up armor, 3-up invulnerable would be, the stratagem needs to be used at the end of the Necron player's turn, meaning if they went second, they are shit out of luck when facing an army with a lot of firepower. For me, the best dynasty for the Tesseract Vault is Saltek. Methodical Destruction fits the vault perfectly, and really shines when using 2 Tesseract Vaults. The stratagem is used after dealing an unsaved wound to an opponent. When used, the Necron player can add 1 to all hit rolls for the rest of the phase. Set this off with some death marks or immortals, and watch the vaults delete a unit through weight of fire. Tesla spheres hitting on 2s and exploding on 5s is nothing to sneeze at. This stratagem will statistically ensure 30 strength 7 hits from the vault. I don't care if there's no AP, the opponent will fail some saves. Outside of Dynasties, stratagems provide the vault some incredible bonuses. Solar Pulse is great to ignore cover when shooting, which is kinda like having AP, right? Wrath of the Satan is another decent stratagem. While it is quite expensive for 2 command points, this allows the vault to use another Satan power at random. The effectiveness of the stratagem is obviously pretty random, so only use this if you're willing to spend another CP for a reroll or have quite a few targets nearby. Wrath of the Satan is more like a last resort instead of a main strategy. Another stratagem the vault will make good use of is Cosmic Power. Use this as the game progresses to swap out one of the powers the Satan can use. Oh, you've sniped all the enemy's characters with ×0? Swap it out for something else. Reduced every unit around to a couple models, swap out Seismic Assault. The hands down best stratagem for the Tesseract Vault, the one that will piss off your opponent the most, is Damage Control Override. Use this to make the opponent feel like they have accomplished nothing, taking your vault down to 1 wound. This stratagem is used to ignore the model's remaining wounds and pretend it is full strength, taking the highest tier on the damage table. Damage Control Override forces the opponent into an all or nothing mindset. They either sink everything they can into destroying a vault, or have to just avoid it at all costs. In any case, this is a 1 CP stratagem that you will always use with the vault. So, obviously stratagems serve the Tesseract Vault well, but so do other units. The Cryptek with Canoptic Cloak can be used to regain D3 wounds to the vault through living metal instead of 1. By itself, I'm not sure how beneficial this war gear is. Usually the opponent will sink their whole army into killing the vault, making 1 or 2 extra wounds healed pretty insignificant. At the same time, this is leaving a Cryptek next to a giant firing magnet that does D6 damage when it blows up. Not so safe. What works a bit better, albeit for quite a few more points, is Tohulk the Blinded, a Forge World character that can be deployed within 6 inches of the vault and bestow it with an enhanced living metal for the rest of the game. No need to babysit the bank. In addition to this, the player could include a Canoptic Spider with Fabricator Claws, healing a nearby vault at the end of the movement phase, D3 wounds. Combined with Tohulk or the Canoptic Cloak, this would actually make it quite annoying to kill the vault, gaining back 4 wounds a turn on average. The downside to this is Cryptex and Spiders are both pretty fragile models, so it may require some finesse. Triarch Stalkers are also helpful, and are a neat way to get reroll 1s to hit for the vault. Getting imprisoned into a giant floating vault is probably lonely for a poor Satan. The Satan Shard of the Deceiver is certainly one of the best models to pair with a Tesseract Vault. The Deceiver can redeploy the vault 12 inches away from the enemy before the game starts. This is insanely powerful with a Tesseract Vault. The vault loves being close to the enemy, and deploying them 12 inches away can have the bank dealing mortal wounds to everything around it on turn 1. Imagine now redeploying 2 Tesseract Vaults in someone's face. In any case, the Deceiver can hang out with the vaults, throwing out a couple extra mortal wounds here or there. Remember when I mentioned the Satan powers working at the end of the movement phase, and how that is great for additional synergies? Well, Deceiver is involved in that. Redeploy a vault in the opponent's face, and use the various Satan powers to carve a hole in the opponent's screen. Next, teleport a unit in with Veil of Darkness, or drop in a unit in reserves, right where the opponent thought they were safe. Using a Nemesaur Oberon slingshot with Warscythe Lichguard can be devastating in conjunction with the vault. Veil of Darkness with Nemesaur, then Ghostwalk Mantle with Oberon and the Lichguard, after the Tesseract has cleared the screen for an unexpected strike at your opponent's heart that can all happen turn 1. If you're a bit more patient, vaults are also great at clearing screens for reserve units like Canoptic Sentinels, who suffer from short range. Tesseract Vaults are slowly popping up in the tournament meta, so be ready for them. If you can't avoid it, sink as many shots into the vault as possible. Even strength 4 weapons aren't bad against it, since they wound on 5s. The 4-up invulnerable save makes weapons like las cannons not extremely attractive, but getting a few through and rolling a decent damage roll can take a chunk out of the Titanic vehicle. While it is annoying to see all your hard work ignored with damage control override, it is worth doing just to bleed the Necron player command points. Oh, and if you're Dark Eldar, just use Agents Effect and ignore it, you frickin' asshole. Mortal wounds are also, of course, a perfect way to bring down the God Bank. Try not to kill it with combat, as the units will likely be hit by a D6 mortal wound explosion. On a personal note, I just took 2 vaults in a list with Canoptic Sentinels and the Deceiver, and got 3rd overall in a GT. Their mortal wound output is surprising. The only game I lost was against a Fire Raptor that just too easily outmaneuvered the vaults. The Tesseract Vault receives a 4 out of 5. It can deal out tons of mortal wounds, and soak up an army's worth of punishment, but costs a quarter of most armies' allotted points doing so. What do you think of the Tesseract Vault? What other units would you like to see reviewed on the channel? Let me know your answers, thoughts, and questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.